trial judge recommended that the IRA terrorists who murdered my aunt in a London restaurant should serve a minimum of 30 years. Should they be released earlier if the arms are handed over?
How does the panel view the Lord Chief Justice's view that Britain is going to the dogs?
They're talking about massive rent increases in council houses, and now they're talking about stopping building them. You're very biased against council tenants.
What do you think of what they've said? Do you think they're a lot of smug fuddy-duddies?
Well, they seem very complimentary about the question, but they haven't actually given me any answers.
But the best sport was the first time a cabinet minister risked coming on in programme number 3.
And the Right Honourable Michael Heseltine MP, Secretary of State for the Environment in Mrs Thatcher's cabinet, who is well known for cutting almost everything except his hair.
The very interesting thing about Question Time above all else, of all the programmes I ever appeared on, the one that I knew would always provoke, oh, I saw you last night on the telly, was Question Time.
Instead of declaring that it does not want confrontation with the unions, shouldn't the government have a showdown and cut the unions down to size without further delay?
I think the answer to that question in the terms... I was actually about to start doing that. Now, I understand that the left are very reluctant to listen to any answers, but I do intend to answer this question in my words and not in the words they try to put in my mouth.
I think the reason why Question Time, when it started, was such an extraordinary success was because politicians didn't, on the whole, deign to speak as normal human beings to ordinary hoi polloi.
It would have been extraordinarily curious if a government which was elected with the votes of about 40% of the British trade unionists should want to have a showdown with the unions.
I was a huge fan of Question Time and would watch it every week, and I wasn't alone. I'd come back to school the following morning and me and my mates would discuss who'd been on the night before. My politics tutor, I think, had an in with one of the programme's producers and managed to secure a small batch of tickets, so I went along with a couple of my mates.
I'm going to ask for a question now from Toby Young of Islington, who is a student. Mr. Young, could I have your question, please?
In view of the government's decision to scrap the Endurance before the crisis arose, how does the panel think Britain will be able to afford to maintain the defence of the Falkland Islands?
There's something very idealistic about Question Time. It's democracy in action. In which, this well-informed group of citizens debate the issues of the day in a sort of intelligent way and hold kind of their elected representatives to account.
To begin with, Question Time was based in London, but over the years it's become more mobile, now going all over the UK and beyond. Good evening and welcome to this week's Question Time, which comes from Birmingham, Truro, Brighton, Belfast, Bournemouth, Edinburgh, Stockton-on-Tees, Cardiff, Dundee, Lerwick, New York, Sydney, Abu Dhabi, Bristol, where our audience is ready as ever to test the wits of our guests here on the panel. The lady in the front here. You don't have to take your hat off, ma'am.
Which one is Mr. Roger Freeman?
Well, would Roger Freeman own up, please? He's sitting on the right here.
How many jobs have he got?
Go on, Mr. Freeman, how many jobs have you got?
Chancellor for the Duchess of Lancaster, Minister for Public Service, and Citizen Charter, Member of Kittens?
I think that's MD for
Little ones, four-legged, so big.
Member of Parliament for Kettering, well...
Accountant, farmer, transport minister. What's the matter with you? Where did you get all that
Okay, you should spread your jobs around a bit.
No wonder you don't care about the young people and old pensioners. You got thousands, I got to live on 3,000 a year. Wait a minute.
No. I think you must let him answer.
And you put the same
you must let him answer that point now.
on me as you put on yourself.
Okay.
Where is the justice?
Mr. Freeman,
some of you ought to shut yourselves.
I think you're a candidate for the House of Commons.
I have never thought the Question Time audience was a soft touch, actually. Right from the beginning, they always make it clear whether they support you or not by clapping. And so I don't think that there's ever been an audience which just sits there quietly and lets politicians get away with anything.
Yeah, I am rather touched at Mrs. Williams. The same Mrs. Williams that before Stevenage dumped her in the 1979 election was on Grunwick's picket line and did nothing to bring in laws which, as Mrs. Thatcher has brought in, have allowed miners to choose exactly which union they want to belong to.
Do I get a chance to respond to that?
Yes, indeed.
Right. Number one, sir, when I was on the Grunwick picket line, there was no violence of any kind, and I make no apology for it. I have at home 10 apologies from cabinet ministers in the Conservative government for having suggested I had anything to do with violence at any time.
I didn't say you had anything to do with violence.
But you mentioned this, no you didn't, but you gave a very clear insinuation which is untrue.
No, I did not.
And I'm entitled to say it's untrue because I know it's untrue. And secondly, my party...
Was this the Labour Party or was this the SDP?
SDP, and don't be cheap. One of the reasons I left the Labour Party was because I didn't believe that
because
people
you lost your seat and you knew you were going to be deselected.
Oh, come. Don't be so foolish. I didn't leave the Labour Party in 1979, as you ought to know. I left it in 1981, 2 years later, because I didn't like the block.
Hold on, Shelley. What the young gentleman is trying to get from
Well, the young gentleman is being very personal, and he doesn't know what he's talking about.
Well,
Let it worry you.
I'm afraid democracy consists of other people whom you and I don't think know what they're talking about.
Well, I know he does.
The audiences for Question Time have become much more articulate because they're Question Time people these days. I think originally the audience came along as they might come along to any other programme, but now they are much more self-confident, much more articulate, know the rules of the game, and get rather bad-tempered if the panel takes more time than they think the audience is getting.
I'm a pensioner, and I'm disgusted with the way pensioners are being asked to pay for the economy of the country.
No, you're wrong, sir. You're wrong.
It's not my figures, it's the government figures, the Roundtree
I shall certainly claim credit for the fact that since 1979, the man on average earnings has seen his real take-home pay rise by £80 a week in today's values.
I'm grateful to you because you clearly don't actually need a microphone to be heard from the back there, but thank you very much. Thank you very much. No.
I'm used to shouting the odds for pensioners. There's not many people doing it.
No one is attending public meetings anymore. That tradition has gone, of that sort of oratory and that sort of meeting the public and the public actually ask questions. You know, even when they do the hustings at election time, it's usually 3 or 4 people in a market town and a bloke with a megaphone. You know, there's not much of that left. But what we have got left is Question Time.
It's not just the panellists who get it in the neck. Watch out when the audience turn on each other.
And I think we should thank the Americans for defending Muslims, not only in Iraq, but also in Kosovo. No. The Americans are defending Muslims in Iraq, they're defending Muslims in Kosovo. They set up the Palestinian Authority, the Palestinian Authority. They defended the Muslims in Kuwait.
Let him finish his point.
Don't you dare speak on behalf of the Muslims. You have no idea.
Why didn't you
have no idea. Don't even speak.
Why don't you attack the Russians when they launched an all-out assault on the Chechens based on a terrorist outreach? I never heard you. I never heard you.
All right, hold on.
The left is silent when it comes to Russia. It's silent when it comes to Russia. It's silent when it comes to Chinese persecution.
You've made your point. You've made your point.
My impression now is that they throw it open to the audience much more than they used to. You know, it's become even more democratic. You know, the public get even more of a say than they did before, and that you know, no bad thing.
I am Iraqi. I am Kurdish. In past 30 years, I have seen so much tragic. No human being in this world ever witnessed this firsthand. This is a war. This isn't a picnic.
For me, it was the first time in my entire life I have ever had that opportunity to go face to face to those people.
Every single day, every single hour, I get the update news from Iraq. Does anyone ask us, how do you feel?
Go on, I'm asking.
We want this war more than anything on this planet.
Yasmin Al-Abadani.
I totally sympathise with you, but I think it's very, very important. I do sympathise. Please don't tell me that I don't know and I don't know.
She wants to ask, let her ask you a question.
Could you look at my eyes? Could you look at my eyes? I've been in a prison, repeatedly raped. You haven't got a clue. You haven't got a clue.
Sorry, I have to come back.
Yes, go on.
I have to come back. I'm sorry, this is just emotional blackmail.
Excuse me.
I went back to Kurdistan and I was stopped by people and they say, oh, they have seen my interviews, they have seen the question time. One of the comment was a Kurdish Prime Minister, Nechirvan Barzani, say, I saw you in that program, I was really proud.